This week on The Aviators. Ever wondered what all that air traffic control chatter actually means? Jeff and Curtis are taking us behind the cockpit door to decode ATC gibberish. Sarah hits the pool and learns how to escape from an upside-down float plane. And we visit Condor Squadron, a group of pilots flying a whole fleet of World War II trainers. For non-pilots, the world of aviation can be very confusing and overly technical. The international language of aviation may be English, but with all the abbreviations, acronyms, and technical gizmos, it can sound almost alien. Take, for instance, something as simple as preparing for a flight, taxiing, and taking off. Before even getting into the plane, a GA pilot has to check AirMIPs, SIGMETs, and METARs before filing his EAPIS to fly from Charlie Yankee Yankee Zulu to Kilo Oscar Romeo Delta. For this flight, he'll be flying IFR as the clouds are sitting at 3000 AGL with RA and SN expected throughout the route. Then, as the PIC, he has to perform a PFI before making sure that the FBO put enough avgas in his tanks. Finally, he squawks 1400 to ATC before his ETD to get his clearance for takeoff from 24 left. But our pilot forgot to check the NOTAM saying that there's a TFR for this TCA because of a temporary MOA. So no flight today. So we've decided to decode some of the aviation jargon by looking at one of the most common and yet confusing aspects, air traffic control calls. Luckily for us, our very own Curtis Arnold is an air traffic controller with years of experience. As well, Aviators host Jeff Lewis so happens to be a commercial pilot who's fluent in air traffic and ease.
Keep a sharp eye out, the America 562.
So here's the situation. Jeff and Curtis are going to take us through a radio call on a typical commercial ILS landing. Jeff will be flying a simulated 737, and Curtis will be monitoring his progress. Jeff will be flying a standard approach pattern into LAX. Approach patterns are published charts with directions on how pilots should approach the airport. Curtis will be directing Jeff along this pattern while also vectoring him to avoid other air traffic in the area.
America 562, contact SoCal approach 124.5. Good day.
124.5 for SoCal. Have a good one, American 562.
Translation: Curtis is doing what's called a radio handoff, where one controller passes off a flight to another controller. In this case, he's instructing Jeff on board America Flight 562 to contact SoCal Approach, another air traffic controller, on a radio frequency of 124.50.
124.5 for SoCal.
By repeating everything, Jeff confirms that he understands and verifies the information.
SoCal, America 562 with you descending through 12.5 for 12,000.
America 562, good afternoon. Expect ILS runway 24 right. Descend 10,000, whiskey's current.
Down to 10,000 with whiskey for the ILS 24 right, America 562. Roger.
Okay, so Jeff just announced his presence to the SoCal approach controller. He notifies him that he's descending through an altitude of 12,500 feet with a target altitude of 12,000 feet. Curtis acknowledges this and informs Jeff that he can expect to land on runway 24 or 24 right. He also informs him that the latest version of the ATIS, or the Automated Terminal Information System, is version Whiskey. The ATIS is an automated recording transmitted on a specific radio frequency that gives pilots weather, runway, and approach information.
Los Angeles International Information Whiskey issued at 0853 Zulu, winds 290 at 12 gusting 18, visibility 10, sky conditions.
As the ATIS information is updated throughout the day, each recording is given an alphabetical identifier, in this case, Whiskey. Now, one of the things you may have noticed is that Jeff will be landing on runway 24 right. LAX is one of the busier airports in the country, but it certainly doesn't have 24 runways. So how is it that this flight will be landing on runway 24? And what does right mean?